Good evening. I'm uploading. Let's finish reading. I did eat my hot foods. I'm tired. Sorry for my voice. I'm tired and like to get to my bed. Yes. My computer crashed. I not remember how far I got. My computer was crashing. I got to something here.
Have remained in those pipes, as there was no drain for them. Investigation by the Indian government in 1985 revealed that the pipes were bone dry. Employee sabotage. Now owned by Dow Chemical Company, Union Carbide maintains a website dedicated to the tragedy and claims that the accident was the result of sabotage, stating that sufficient safety systems were in place and operative to prevent the intrusion of water. 86. The Union Carbide commissioned Arthur D. Little report concluded that it was likely that a single employee secretly and deliberately introduced a large amount of water into the milk tank by removing amateur and connecting a water hose directly to the tank through the metering port. 72. UCC claims the plant staff falsified numerous records to distance themselves from the accident and absolve themselves of blame, and that the Indian government impeded its investigation and declined to prosecute the employee responsible, presumably because it would weaken its allegations of negligence by Union Carbide. 87. The evidence advanced by UCC, alleged to support this hypothesis. A key witness testified that when he entered the control room at 12:15 a.m. prior to the disaster, the atmosphere was tense and quiet. Another key witness, the instrument supervisor, testified that when he arrived at the scene immediately following the accident, he noticed that the local pressure indicator on the critical tank 610 was missing, and that he had found a hose lying next to the empty manhead created by the missing pressure indicator, and that the hose had had water running out of it. This testimony was corroborated by other witnesses. Graphological analysis revealed major attempts to alter log files and destroy log evidence. Other log files show that the control team had attempted to purge 1 ton of material out of tank 610 immediately prior to the disaster. An attempt was then made to cover up this transfer via log alteration. Water is heavier than milk, and the transfer line is attached to the bottom of the tank. The Arthur D. Little report concludes from this that the transfer was an effort to transfer water out of tank 610 that had been discovered there. Second-hand and third-hand recounting of events yielded 2 accounts that corroborated Duck's conspiracy hypothesis. An operator from a different unit stated that after the release 2 MIC operators had told him that water had entered the tank through a pressure gauge. 1 employee stated that he had been told by a close friend of one of the MIC operators that water had entered through a tube that had been connected to the tank. This had been allegedly discovered by the other MIC operators, who then tried to open and close valves to prevent the release. The Little Report argues that this evidence demonstrates that the following chronology took place at 10:20 p.m. The tank was at normal pressure, indicating the absence of water. At 10:45 p.m., a shift change took place, after which the mixed storage area would be completely deserted. During this period, a disgruntled operator entered the storage area and hooked up one of the readily available rubber water hoses to tank 610, with the intent of contaminating and spoiling the tank's contents. Water began to flow, beginning the chemical reaction that caused the disaster. After midnight, control room operators noticed the pressure rising and realized there was a problem with tank 610. They discovered the water connection and decided to transfer 1 ton of the contents out to try to remove the water. The MIC release then occurred. The cover-up activities discovered during the investigation then took place. After over 30 years, in November 2017, SP Chowdhury, former MIC production manager, claimed in court that the disaster was not an accident but the result of a sabotage that claimed thousands of lives. Chaudhry's counsel, Anirban Roy, argued that the theory of design defects was floated by the central government in its endeavor to protect the victims of the tragedy. Everyone else involved in investigating the case just toed the line of the central government. The government and the CBI suppressed the actual truth and saved the real perpetrators of the crime. 88-89, Roy argued to the district court that M.L. Verma, a disgruntled plant operator at odds with senior management, was behind the sabotage. The council argued there were discrepancies in statements given by persons operating the plant at that time, but the central agency decided against a proper investigation in order to characterize the event as a mishap and not sabotage. He alleged that Verma was unhappy with Chaudhary and Newcomb. 90 additional Union Carbide actions. The corporation denied the claim that valves on the tank were malfunctioning and claimed that documented evidence gathered after the accident showed the valve closest to the plant's water washing operation was closed and leak-tight. Furthermore, process safety systems had prevented water from entering the tank accident. Carbide states that all safety concerns identified in 1982 were laid before 1984 and had nothing to do with the accident. 91. The company admitted that safety systems in place would not have been able to prevent a chemical reaction of such magnitude from causing a leak. According to Carbide, in designing the plant's safety systems, a chemical reaction of this magnitude was not factored in because the tank's gas storage system was designed to automatically prevent such a large amount of water from being inadvertently introduced into the system, and process safety systems in place and operational would have prevented water from entering the tank by accident. Instead, they claim that employee sabotage, not faulty design or operation, was cause of the tragedy. 91. Tactical response. The company stresses the immediate action taken after the disaster and its continued commitment to helping victims. On the 4th of December, the day following the leak, Union Carbide sent material aid and several international medical experts to assist the medical facilities in Bhopal. 91. Financial response. The primary financial restitution paid by UCC was negotiated in 1989. When the Indian Supreme Court approved a settlement of $470 million, 1,055 crore, equivalent to $970 million in 2022. 92. This amount was immediately paid by UCC to the Indian government. The company states that the restitution paid was $120 million more than plaintiffs' lawyers had told U.S. courts was fair, and that the Indian Supreme Court stated in its opinion that compensation levels under the settlement were far greater than would normally be payable under Indian law. 93. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, Union Carbide states on its website that it donated $2 million to Indian Prime Minister's Immediate Disaster Relief Fund on the 11th of December 1984. 91. The corporation established the Employees Bhopal Relief Fund in February 1985, which raised more than $5 million for immediate relief. 39. According to Union Carbide, in August 1987, they made an additional $4.6 million in humanitarian interim relief available. 39. Union Carbide stated that it also undertook several steps to provide continuing aid to the victims of the Bhopal disaster, including the sale of its 50.9% interest in USL in April 1992 and establishment of a charitable trust to contribute to the building of a local hospital. The sale was finalized in November 1994. Construction began in October 1995 and the hospital opened in 2001. The company provided a fund of around $90 million from sale of its USL stock. In 1991, the trust had amounted to approximately $100 million. The hospital specialized in the treatment of heart, lung and eye problems. 86. UCC also provided a $2.2 million grant to Arizona State University to establish a vocational technical center in Bhopal, which was opened, but was later closed by the state government. 93. They also donated $5 million to the Indian Red Cross after the disaster. 93. They also developed a responsible care system with other members of the chemical industry as a response to the Bhopal crisis, which was designed to help prevent such an event in the future. 39. Charges against UCC and USL employees. UCC Chairman and CEO Warren Anderson was arrested and released on bail by the Madhya Pradesh Police in Bhopal on the 7th of December, 1984. Anderson was taken to UCC's house, after which he was released 6 hours later on $2,100 bail and flown out on a government plane. These actions were allegedly taken under the direction of then Chief Secretary of the State, who was possibly instructed from the Chief Minister's office, who himself flew out of Bhopal immediately. 94, 95, 96. Later in 1987, the Indian government summoned Anderson, 8 other executives and 2 company affiliates to appear in Indian court on homicide charges. 97. In response, Union Carbide said the company is not under Indian jurisdiction. 97. In May 1988, Indian businessman J.R.D. Tata wrote a confidential letter to the then Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, conveying Henry Kissinger's concern about delay in reaching a settlement. At the time, Kissinger was an advisor to Union Carbide and other U.S. corporations. 98. Rajiv Gandhi indicated that he would consider Kissinger's advice. 99. Bharatiya Janata Party claimed that Rajiv Gandhi protected Warren Anderson in a secret political deal with President Ronald Reagan to pardon Adil Shariah. 100. Dow was a named respondent in cases arising from Union Carbide's business in Bhopal. 101. Ongoing contamination. A view of MIG plant surrounded by few metal pipes. Deteriorating section of the MIG plant in 2008. Decades after the gas leak, chemicals abandoned at the plant continue to leak and pollute the groundwater. 68. 102, 103, 104. Whether the chemicals pose a health hazard is disputed. 105. Contamination at the site and surrounding area was not caused by the gas leakage. The area around the plant was used as a dumping ground for hazardous chemicals, and by 1982 water wells in the vicinity of the USL factory had to be abandoned. 6. UCC states that after the incident, USL began clean-up work at the site under the direction of Indian central and state government authorities. The work was continued from 1994 by Eveready Industries India, Limited, EIL, who was Usal's successor. In 1998, the Madhya Pradesh state government, which owned and had been leasing the property to EIL, cancelled the lease, took over the facility and assumed all accountability for the site, including the completion of any remediation. 3986. UCC's laboratory tests in 1989 revealed that soil and water samples collected from near the factory were toxic to fish. 21 areas inside the plant were reported to be highly polluted. In 1990,